towards half race distance.
Yeah, Shireel there at the back of the group on the 21 machine. We'll see if he's able to try and attack into turn 1. But as it is right now, Mie doing exactly what he did in yesterday's race, but it was around this time that we started to see him fade a little bit, and Shireel and Furasada really just start to open up a little bit of a gap.
Lap 7, last time around, all 3 of these leaders set 1 minute 44 sevens. A quarter of a second covering them as they cross the line. It's a 4.5 second gap now to Feardaus, Herjan Feardaus on the number 10, who sits in 4th position with the entire pack behind him. Still 1.5 seconds, covering 4th all the way down to 10th, and then a separate group from 11th position down. But we're quite rightly watching the lead trio, and this is Taiyo Furusato, who might have started in 5th position, but has spent the majority of this race in P1, right where he sits at the moment, under some pressure once again from Gun Mie. We'll see if he can come through this 7, 8, 9 complex where they're making it through now, in towards turn 10, and if he jams it down the inside like he did a lap ago, and whether Furusato has got the answer again on the outside. It's Shireel this time trying to make the move. Mie comes in late. Oh, goodness me, with a bit of a wobble there as well. Almost collected the back of Furusato. That could change the championship complexion very quickly, couldn't it?
Yeah, Furasada's brave to hold that outside line and sweep all the way across and hold on to that position. You can see in the second group, it is still Hongo leading the way, and then the number 10 of Feardaus. We've seen that Carter Thompson managed to get into the top 5 in this lap, but Herjan's got through on him again. That's one rider running off. It could be Adatama that's gone down there in the number 3 machine.
That was a big incident out the back of the shot, and Adatama running straight on in towards the gravel trap, and that is a real shame for Digelar Adatama, the number 3, and that is going to be a 5th retirement out of 6 races in this 2021 campaign. I said on the grid that he'd been a little bit action and prone at times, and so it's proven in this race too.
Yeah, no luck yesterday in an instant at turn 10, and then this instant at turn 13, and high-speed crash for him, but good to see him back on his feet and just trying to get that belly pan cleaned out. We'll see if he tries to get back into the race. We did see that riders that crashed in yesterday's race were still able to remount and score some points. We'll see if he can do that, but like you said, Alex, he's at 4 retirements already this season, and then another crash in this race.
Well, we didn't get 15 finishes yesterday. We had 7 riders retiring from a 21 rider grid, so all 14 that finished scored, and that you can see why he's collected another rider before going straight on.
I think it might have been Dandy that he collected there on the number 11 machine, and just left with nowhere to go. A bit similar to what happened to him in yesterday's race as well.
Lap 8 of 12 then, and Shireel has left Mie just as we saw yesterday, and is going with Furusato, and they're absolutely nose to tail. They're making their way in towards turn 10 with 4.5 laps to go, and Furusato still got the speed in that braking zone in towards turn 10.
We saw in yesterday's race though that Daniel Shireel was willing to make a pretty daring move through the next couple of corners. Down in towards turn 12 is where he made the move. It's a fast left-hander. He stuffed it down the inside in yesterday's race, so we know that if he gets a half a chance, he's going to try and attack on Furasada. Still a lot of this race to go though. 4 laps to go when they come across the line.
Yes, very aggressive into turn 12 here yesterday was Daniel Shireel to take up the lead, but it only lasted just under a sector before back through around the outside came Furusato through turns 15 and 16 to take the win. Furusato still leads, Shireel going a little bit wide there, and Gun Mie coming back through for 2nd position.
Yeah, the one thing that Furusato wants is he wants Gun Mie in this group, because as it is, if he finishes 2nd behind Gun Mie, he would still win the championship and get it all wrapped up today. And certainly for Furusato, that has to be the target that he's got in his mind, just to make sure he's able to win the Asia Talent Cup this year.
0.3 of a second as they cross the line at the end of lap 8. Separate battle behind. It is still Herjan Feardaus who has led that group for several of the laps around. Hongo oscillating backwards and forwards. He's dropped down to 6th position. That clash with Dandy and Adatama that we saw previously has broken that secondary group in 2. There was only 1.5 seconds covering 4th to 10th. Now a very different scenario, 2.5 seconds just between 6th and 7th. So it's 3 riders contesting the podium places. It's 3 riders contesting 4th position. Carter Thompson actually just getting back through now on Feardaus for P4. Running wide coming off turn 6 was Daniel Shireel. That's left him with a little bit of a margin to find on Gun Mie, but Mie gets down the inside of Furusato, moves across his path in towards turn 10, and if that's what it takes to get it done, says Gun Mie, then that's exactly what I'll do. Furusato with a good look over his shoulder, knows that Shireel is directly behind him, but with Furusato out in front, if he were to stay there, it still wouldn't be enough for with Gunmir out in front, it still would be enough to take the title down to another race, because Daniel Sharil is directly behind as well.
And you can see here with the championship leader for Asada, we'll see if he's able to try and be aggressive on the run down in towards the last corner to see if he can try and make a move back into the race lead.
Yes, I got my words in a twist there. This is the live championship, and that'll explain it possibly better than I just did. Basically, I was saying that Furusato, if he finishes second behind Mie, who's also in contention, a similar number of points to Daniel Sharil, then we would still go into the third race of the weekend here this afternoon. 3 laps to go then. Furusato out in front, 3 tenths covering your lead trio, as it has been for the majority of this race, to be perfectly honest. Furusato back in front, and Daniel Sharil, his closest points rival, stuck down in third. Gunmier's been the more pugnacious of the two over the last lap or so.
I was getting a bit confused with my championship standings as well, so certainly for Asada, the easy target is win the race, win the championship, and he's doing exactly that once again. He's opened up another couple of tenths of a second, but we've seen in this sector of the track, this is where the number 5 of Gunmia is very fast and able to bridge that gap. But we also know Daniel Sharil in yesterday's race had that edge in the closing stages. He needs to get through into second spot to see if he's able to take the fight to Furusato.
Furusato is your leader. Mie then in second position. We've seen most of the moves in the Asia Talent Cup this weekend, and also most of the crashes in towards turn number 10. They're 3 abreast this time around. Furusato on the 15 on the outside. Mie is getting moved out of the way now by Daniel Sharil, who comes through for seconds.
Yeah, Sharil did a good job there to hold on to second spot. We saw that bike moving around a lot in the entry into turn 10. As you said, Alex, that's where we saw a lot of incidents in yesterday's race. So it is a place where you can make overtaking moves. It's also a place where it can all go badly wrong.
2 laps and 1 sector to go now. We're on lap 10 of 12. A reduced length to this race after a delay due to weather conditions before we could get underway. Race 2. Furusato in front. Daniel Sharil keen to get through. This is where Furusato got round him yesterday for the race victory. Sharil's going to get a little bit offline here, and Gunmia is going to slam it down the inside in towards 15 and 16 and recover second place. And Furusato again is able to defend that lead.
Second time we've seen Gunmia do that on Sharil as well, so we can clearly see Sharil is struggling into turn 15 to get that bike stopped, but maybe just a little bit of tactics from Sharil as well. It'll be interesting to see if he changes tack in the final couple of laps.
2 to go. Furusato has a 0.3 of a second advantage over Mie and Sharil. These two have got to be careful that they don't fight with one another. We know that Furusato did victory of this 2021 campaign, and he will have sewn up the Asia Talent Cup with 2 races to spare, and that's the way it looks at the moment. Furusato has been almost untroubled at the head of the field.
Yeah, he's done a really good job in this race to keep the cool head. We saw the same in yesterday's race, but Sharil is right there with him. Gunmia has now lost a few tenths of a second. He's 4 tenths of a second behind Sharil, so suddenly it's left to the top 2 in the championship for most of this season. They're battling it out in the final lap and a half.
It is a near repeat of race 1 yesterday, when on the final 2 laps Gunmia, the number 5, got dropped back from the lead duo. These are the top 3 in the championship, and they currently sit in the order that they are in the classification as well. Furusato, who leads it by 46 points over Daniel Sharil. Gunmia 52 points down on Furusato, so would need to beat him to keep his personal hopes alive. And at the moment, it's all about Furusato heading his way towards victory. 1 to go.
Yeah, really important for Furusato just to think about where he can defend on the run in towards turn 10. He has been stronger everywhere else around this track all the way through this weekend. He's going to force Sharil to go around the outside into turn 1.
Daniel Sharil, who was more than 0.3 of a second faster than Furusato, the race leader, last time around, gets around the outside into turn 1, and Furusato eases him out, and then there's a bit of a moment for Daniel Sharil coming through the first turn. He's going to have to work harder than he ever has if he wants to beat Furusato, the man of the moment.
Yeah, super riding from Furusato. Forced Sharil to go the long way around the outside down the start-finish straight in the run into turn 1. He's going to have to try and do something similar on the run into turn 10 as well. That's Sharil's best chance to make the move.
We saw Sharil was willing to make the move wherever he could. Yes, no, big moment there for Gunmia, and he's gone out onto those big serrated curves on the outside line as well. So that rules him out of a fight between these top 2, because there's 0.6 of a second already between second and third positions, and Gunmia's got it all wrong there on the final lap. He holds on for a podium position. Sharil to the outside line then as they come in towards turn number 10. Tries to go the long way round. He'll now switch it back. It gives him the inside line for turn 11. Daniel Sharil has thought about this in advance, but he's not quite alongside. Furusato defends the position through turn 12, where Daniel Sharil passed Furusato here yesterday. These two have swapped and changed their 0.008 of a second across the last timing point between the two of them. Sharil gets nerfed to the inside. He takes that as his opportunity, as his call to arms into turn 13 and comes through. Then Furusato recovers it, coming through turn 14. It's a head-to-head on the final lap that will determine whether we go to another race in the Asia Talent Cup for 2021 or whether we have just settled the series standings. One final sector to go. It's Furusato, the leader, on the number 15. It's Daniel Sharil, the pretender, on the number 21. I don't think he's going to be close enough coming off the final turn. It's a drag race down to the line. Furusato holds on, and Tayo Furusato claims the 2021 Asia Talent Cup with 2 races to spare.
I actually thought Furusato might have gone too defensive there in the final sector, judged it to perfection. Really good race performance from him. Hongo takes 4th. Thompson's up inside the top 5 once again as the rest of the field comes through to claim the points paying positions.
Yes, Thompson rounding out your top 5. Firdaus for Jeter, an isolated 7th position. Wakamatsu in 8th for Dilla, and Dandy rounding out your top 10. But it was all about the top 2 in the context of the championship. We had a very similar race to what we had yesterday. We had exactly the same outcome. A 6th win of the season for Tayo Furusato.
Yeah, and if you want to see how on the limit Sharil was to try and make the moves to take the race lead, we saw through turns 6 and 7 he had a bit of a moment. We saw on the run into turns 12 and 13 he had another moment. That was the deciding factor. It meant that into turn 15 Furusato was able to take a normal line. He didn't have to defend the position. He did take a defensive line on the run through 15 into 16, and he was able then to exit the corner nice and clean and hold on to that race victory. He was able to take it by a 1/10 of a second, and just like we saw yesterday, able to lead pretty much the whole race here, nice and comfortable. 6 from 6 from Furusato.
And you get the impression that Daniel Sharil just felt that he had to throw everything at Furusato if he was going to have a hope of beating him and pushing this championship fight on. I think realistically, even if Daniel Sharil had got through to hit the front, Furusato would have been a matter of a few points away from claiming the title, and more than likely would have done it this afternoon anyway. But Furusato, 150 points out of a possible 150, still 50 up for grabs over the course of this afternoon and tomorrow. But Daniel Sharil is now 51 points behind Gunmie, 61 points behind Furusato, 10 therefore behind Sharil, and 19 clear of Carter Thompson. Damage limitation ride in the end for Thompson. We just watched the timing screen because we've had a penalty for exceeding track limits on the final lap, and it's for Wakamatsu. So it's not for Furusato. That's the most important thing at this precise moment, because of course if Furusato had exceeded track limits and had to drop a position, then the championship fight would go on for another race.
Yeah, and certainly for Furusato, didn't put a foot wrong all the way through that race, hasn't put a foot wrong all season, and that's why he's been so impressive and able to take this championship. 6 from 6, very impressive start to his international career as well. Obviously he's going to be in the Moto3 World Championship next year with the Asia Talent team, and we've seen some good riders come through in the talent team over the years. Obviously Ayagura, their big star in recent years in the Moto3 class, done a really good job in Moto2, but Furusato certainly a name to keep your eye on.
Yeah, it's always an opportunity for the Asia Talent Cup when they're rubbing shoulders with the Grand Prix and with the World Superbike paddocks. And Furusato is a name that we'll remember for the future, little doubt about that. 16 years of age from Japan, and he's taken the Asia Talent Cup, and in the best possible fashion as well, with 6 wins out of 6 so far. Brilliant performance.
Really impressive, and it's how cool a head he keeps as well. We saw in yesterday's race, we saw in today's race as well, the same story. Very impressive young rider, and we also saw that blinding pace from the start of the season in Qatar, where he was able to win both races by over 9 seconds.
4 second places in a row for Daniel Sharil. He's going to be getting fed up with this. It's all 4 of them that have been less than a third of a second between himself and Furusato, and he's got 2 more opportunities to at least try and take that first victory since his comeback.
Yeah, it has been a really impressive comeback. We talked about it after race 1 when he had a fractured leg in Sepang a few years ago, almost had to have his leg amputated, so it shows just how impressive a job he's done to recover from that. The 18-year-old, and able to take his 4th consecutive second place finish, and certainly like to see him end the season with a race victory. But Furusato's performances, they don't tend to leave the door open for too much.
No, but Sharil's story is only missing that one final chapter, isn't it? Master winner in 2018. Of course, he had that severe injury to his leg in 2018 and has been on the road to recovery since, and only got back on a bike in August of last year. Really incredible just for him to be challenging for, well, it's incredible that he's walking, frankly, but it's incredible that he's challenging for podium positions in the Asia Talent Cup as well. He takes second position here today with Gun Mie rounding out your podium trio, pushing hard. Anyone who wants to stay with Furusato has to push hard in the closing stages, that's for sure. And again, on the penultimate lap, Gun Mie just losing a little bit of ground, and then on the final lap itself, going across the curbs, we're getting an indication of just how high those curbs are, and if you catch them in the wrong position, they're really awkward for bikes, that's for sure. And Gun Mie getting all out of shape, eventually finishes 2 seconds behind, but again, he played his part in the entertainment in race 2.
Yeah, trying to go with those leaders to be able to give himself a chance, and you have to push hard to be able to go with the likes of Furusato and Daniel Sharil in the course of this season, and certainly for Gun Mie with his 4th podium of the season, he's certainly made people stand up and take notice of him.
Unbeaten from 6 races out of 6 in the 2021 Asia Talent Cup, your champion, Taya Furusato.
Tayo, many congratulations, because you are the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion. Tell us how happy you are.
Of course, I'm happy, super happy, because I cannot say a lot, because until today, all races I won the race, so it's most important for me, because
Suppose that it's a dream come true, so many congratulations, Tayo.
Thank you.
So Furusato, the one thing missing from his armoury, I think, is the experience of the interviews. Fine performance in 2021.
For a fantastic season, 6 races, 6 wins, and whatever happens later on today and tomorrow, he cannot beat people.
Taya Furusato is your 2021 Asia Talent Cup winner, is the name on everyone's lips then after that race, and I suspect that he might be a name to watch for the future as well.
He's certainly going to be a rider that people are going to pay attention to in the Moto3
trio for race 2 of round 3 in the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. It is the Indonesian round. And first up for 3rd position, Gun Mie, the 15-year-old from Japan. That was his 8th race start in the Asia Talent Cup and his 4th podium appearance. Still yet to better that 2nd position that he managed in the season opener of 2021 in Qatar. 2nd place going the way of Daniel Sharil. He's going to have 2nd place trophies coming out of his ears the way things are going in 2021. It is a 9th podium finish for him. Yet another performance from him up in those top 3 positions. Remember, he's one of the most experienced men in this paddock. That's his 18th race start in the Asia Talent Cup. Still waiting to add, though, to that win tally. But your race winner, little doubt as to who it might be before we got underway, but he was again made to work for it. If anything, Taya Furusato is probably pulling on the level of the other riders around him.
Yeah, certainly has done a great job all the way through this season, and when you look at what we saw from Pedro Acosta in the Moto3 World Championship coming through from the Red Bull Rookies Cup and from CEV Moto3, there is that level that you can reach from these Talent Cup races, and certainly for Furusato, he's going to be a rider that everyone's going to be quite keen to see how he gets on from the Qatari Grand Prix onwards next year.
Race winners trophy presented to Taya Furusato, who is also the champion in the 2021 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup.
To the national anthem of the winning rider, the national